manifested is because of his innate entrepreneurial skills. So Maharaj sees the opportunity to really spread Krishna conscious movement in every angle. And I'm going to give you a glimpse of that as we just introduce Maharaj more and more. So he started the Spiritual Sky, a business which has really grown really tremendously, and obviously personally it funded his family and his movement. But more importantly, Maharaj used the proceeds of that to really further advance the Krishna conscious movement, because he has funded many projects that include printing the books in languages all over the world. These include some of the European languages, Indian languages, African languages. So Maharaj really helped all over the world with his efforts. So in this case, he not only helped directly in the beginning, but he has also helped through the organization that he funded or he started. Then as Maharaj progressed in his journey, like he moved back to US. By the way, just an introduction, Maharaj is highly qualified academically also. He studied in UPenn. He got full scholarship. In spite of that, he chose to quit all of that and became a Krishna conscious devotee. And then after Maharaj moved to US, he was given responsibility as a GBC member, which is an organization that organizes and kind of manages the entire worldwide body of ISKCON. Maharaj was one of the members, and he was given responsibility for Berkeley Temple, Seattle Temple, Vancouver Temple, Phoenix Temple, and Hawaii Temple. And Maharaj really, in almost all these places, when Maharaj came in, most of these temples were in almost folding stage or like almost, shut down. And Maharaj took responsibility for each of those temples and revived every one of them to their, glory. So, and as you can see, particularly after Maharaj moved to Seattle, this was in 1991. This was when Maharaj came in. The temple prior to that, many other presidents were there, and they were not able to maintain the temple. They were not able to, create the movement and create the enthusiasm among the people. So they were not able to sustain the temple to the point where the deities were put in the garage of a couple of other devotees. And this was 1991 when Maharaj came in, and he took the responsibility of not only funding the temple himself. So he had a business again. He started, that's Uncle Harry's Products. I don't know how many of you know, but there is a business that is also thriving right now. And using the proceeds from that business, Maharaj jump-started the efforts to build a temple. In one of the sessions, Maharaj narrated how the moment he saw Radhanil Madhav in a garage, the thought he had was that Radhanil Madhav is the supreme lord of the universe. And how can he be in a garage? We're going to build a temple. We're going to build a great temple for Radhanil Madhav. So that was his determination. So this is 1991. Maharaj, if you see back then, he would run his business. He would come, he would cook, he would do the offerings, he would preach, he would wash the dishes. This is very, very few people were helping at that time. So in one of the lectures, I remember Maharaj telling it took literally 14 years of that kind of consistent, devotional service to really build the first, movement into the congregation that we right now take it for granted. So in 2004 onwards, the organization, the movement, lots of devotees started coming. But it was all greatness goes to Maharaj's consistent and dedicated efforts and just fulfilling the mission and word that he has given to his Guru Maharaj to just be the conduit to spread Krishna consciousness in the entire greater Seattle area. Maharaj since then has expanded. This is where we will be amazed. Like most people would be happy to just get a temple up and running. But Maharaj didn't stop there. Now he has created a vision to build 5 to 6 temples in the entire greater Seattle area. Already we have launched this year a second big temple in Bellevue downtown. It's the Vedic Cultural Center Bellevue, which already hosts Balaji deities. If you have not been there, you should definitely visit it. It's a beautiful temple, big, temple, and the deities are beautiful, and it's right in the middle of Bellevue, Spring District. And now Maharaj has a vision to expand the number of temples to at least 5 to 6 in the entire greater Seattle area. Beyond temples, Maharaj has also started school and educational initiatives. These include Vedic University. This is where most of you might know that we actually give free education to both the kids as well as adults. This Vedic school, if you're not aware, this is a great opportunity for all of the parents to make sure that your kids get the traditional Vedic culture and the wisdom of our Vedas, spread through in a parampara. Means this is something that's not randomly taught, but it is something that is bona fide in the parampara, that has been one of the bona fide paramparas of our Vedic culture. So please make sure that your kids are enrolled into that. There are lots of other parents that have already joined their kids into this program. In addition to the kids, there is also programs for the adults. We have Discover Yourself program as well as the Bhagavad Gita programs. These are all, again, are the brainchild of Maharaj and his inspiration for other disciples. So on top of that, we also have a Synergy Educational Institution, which helps with the early child care and early childhood education. Then Maharaj expanded to bring the real Vedic experience and Vedic lifestyle by building cow protection as well as farms. We have now 3 farms. We have one farm which is we call urban farm because it's very near to all of us, accessible in Redmond, just off of the PCC area. And if you again highly recommend, any of you have not visited, it's a farm that has a lot of cows. This is where the cows are protected for life, and you also have the opportunity to pet them, you can feed them. And then Maharaj also makes a point to bring those cows to the temple pretty regularly. And you will see that from every week, typically Maharaj brings the cows or the calves to the temple. And then we also have 2 other farms, one in Everson and one in Arlington. And these are, we have about between 80 to 85 cows, and these are protected for life. And we also have A2 milk that is produced from these cows. How many of you have purchased the milk from the temple? So many of you have already experienced that. I mean, this milk is phenomenal. Like, once you taste it, you will not, be attracted to any other milk. That's based on the demand. When we serve almost like 300 gallons every week, just with that milk. And then Maharaj also started to expand all these Krishna conscious movements through an organization called Northwest Share, because some of the organizations may not be interested in just the pure religious association of an organization. So Maharaj's vision was that Krishna consciousness is universal. It's just that some people may have certain biases. So Maharaj created this Northwest Share and used his vision to expand prasadam distribution through free food trucks. How many of you have tasted prasadam from the free food truck? So again, this is a brainchild of Maharaj. He personally designed that food truck design. Can you imagine? Like, he put his own money and built that one, and he drove that food truck for years himself. And now we have more than 1 food truck. We already have now 3 food trucks. 2 food trucks that regularly go, and then there is another food truck that is in the making right now. So again, and then now Maharaj wants to make sure that this Krishna conscious knowledge is also accessible to all walks of life. So Maharaj has written many, many books, and now we started printing them in the recent past. And then now Maharaj has already launched 3 of his books, and now we're launching the 4th book, and the next week we'll launch 3 more books. So with that introduction, again, there's a lot more to share about Maharaj, but I would like Maharaj to say a few words, maybe read from the book, and then give us his blessings. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, one of my books is called Life's Problems and Solutions. And we're going to distribute that today, is that right? Yeah. Life's Problems and Solutions. So it's a very instructive book about how you can become Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness is the real goal of human life because Krishna is God. We have all come from Krishna. We're all the children of Krishna. But because of modern education and because of so many atheistic things that or people, teachers, schools, and so forth, we forgot our relationship with God or Krishna. But now we have our books, originally books written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Dev. His books are for sale here. And I also have some books that have been printed in the last couple years. So we want to educate people to know who Krishna is, how to relate to Krishna, how to serve Krishna, how to love Krishna, and how to be liberated by the mercy of Krishna from the cycle of birth and death. That should be our real purpose in life. There are many books. You can go to a library, there's thousands and thousands of books. But when you read a book that is going to teach you how to avoid all sinful activity in this lifetime and ultimately go back to the spiritual world at the moment of death, that's the best book. That book is called Bhagavad Gita. And also the expansion of the Bhagavad Gita is called Srimad Bhagavatam. And also, there are other books written by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada also inspired all his disciples to write books. So I'm one of his disciples. So I've written also some books. So today we have Life's Problems and Solutions. It's free. You can have it. You can read it. And take a benefit from it. So let me just read something from it. It says, the mode of passion. Lust may evolve from attachment when we associate with the mode of passion, which is exemplified by sexual attraction. The attraction of a man and woman for each other or any other combination is an example of the mode of passion. As the mode of passion is increased, one develops a hankering for material enjoyment or sense gratification. For sustained and regular sense gratification, one seeks profit, distinction, and eventually adoration. A partner, house, family, and children, many appliances and vehicles or other gadgets, and whatever is needed for pleasuring the senses is acquired. These are products of the mode of passion. One works very hard to obtain and maintain them. The result is one becomes attached to the fruits of his activities and is bound in a network of actions and reactions. If our lust is frustrated in the attempt to obtain the objects of desire, we become angry. When this anger develops, we fall into a state of self-imposed ignorance that can lead to individual and socially destructive behavior, continual trouble, and misery, even though our goal is seeking happiness. There are 5 coverings of ignorance of a materially conditioned person. Once he or she becomes angry at or envious of God. The 5 coverings of ignorance. The first is anger. God is the controller and enjoyer of everything in his creation. In ignorance, we try to control and enjoy a small part of creation. Anyone who wants to emulate God through the material acquisition of power and control will fail eventually due to old age, disease, and death. Even during life, the attempt to satisfy unending lusty desires will result in frustration, anger, and resentment. His frustrated feelings cover the soul with ignorance of one's real object of desire, God. Belief that death is the ultimate end of life. This is the first covering. This is the second covering. The first one was anger. We just read that. The second covering of ignorance is belief that death is the ultimate end of life. Considering death to be the ultimate end of life is the second covering of ignorance. Atheists and materialists think the body is the self. They refuse to accept that there is a non-material soul. They believe their existence ends with the death of the body, and enjoyment of material senses and mind is the goal of life. They think we should enjoy life and live prosperously as much as possible. Religious dogma and its doctrine of sin is an artificial imposition on man's material destiny of enjoying life to the fullest. These are the ideas or thoughts of materialistic people. The religious belief that man is responsible to a supreme being and there will be a judgment after death of one's mortal sins is nonsense in the mind of non-devotees. The concept of a supreme God is a fabrication of weak-minded men, and an afterlife is a false hope. Mankind is alone in the material universe and is obliged to determine its destiny by logic and science. Religion and belief in a supernatural God are superstitions that is an obstacle to mankind's progressive development through scientific research. This atheistic belief is destroying human civilization. Number 3, disbelief that the soul is an eternal individual. So these are the points, these are 5 points of ignorance that covers our mind and makes it impossible to understand our relationship with Krishna. Number 3, disbelief that the soul is an eternal individual. The reality is that we are always changing the body in life, and at death there is a final change. Therefore, our real identity is not the body. The soul passes into the next body at death. The third covering of ignorance is remaining ignorant of the eternal individual soul. Almost everyone believes that their material body is their essential identity. They do not understand that the body is simply a temporary covering of the soul. The body is continually changing in life from childhood to death. The soul is manifest by the consciousness within the body. This consciousness is not produced by any chemical combination of material elements. People adhere to the following misconceptions. This is my body, and anything in relationship with this body is mine. In the minds of such misguided persons, sex is the most prominent source of pleasure. The concomitant factors of sex are profit, I am the body, distinction, and eventually adoration. Men and women often seek a stable sexual relationship. Thus, they get married or live together. They become attached to home, motherland, children, wealth, opulence. The appetite for sex can sometimes lead to extramarital relationships. If there is a problem of sexual rapport in a marriage, it may result in separation and divorce with drastic social consequences for the upbringing of children. Without understanding the difference between the soul and the body, people believe the illusory concept that man's existence is accidental and temporary. Therefore, the goal of life is to enjoy as much pleasure for the body and avoid suffering by any means. That's the material conception of life. Number 4, these are 5 types of illusion or misconceptions of human beings. Number 4, as the attachment to sex increases, the illusion of the bodily concept of life also increases. This is the fourth covering of ignorance. Along with the increase in bodily attachment come three feelings of possessiveness of I, me, and mine. Greed evolves from the anger and frustration of unsuccessful attempts to increase non-permanent wealth and power. The more one succeeds in accumulating wealth and power on the false idea that I am this body, the more one becomes attached to such possessions. This results in a network of illusory attachments and subsequent entanglements. One is also afflicted by material anxiety to protect such possessions from irresponsible family members, government tax collectors, and enemies. Thus, the influence of ignorance expands. Number 5, madness for sense gratification. When the illusion of the bodily concept becomes more and more intense, one becomes mad or insane for sense gratification and performs all sorts of sinful activities. This is the advanced stage of ignorance. In recent times, we have seen many examples of men and women who have succumbed to this madness. They engage in very risky behavior that exposes them to ridicule, shame, loss of prestige, and legal problems. A few examples are Tiger Woods, Anthony Weiner, Elliot Spicer, John Edwards, and many other men and women. So this is just a few things from this book. The whole purpose of this book is clearly understanding the problems of life. Almost everybody knows what the problems of life are. They are birth, old age, disease, and death. But then understanding the solutions to these problems. And the ultimate solution is to understand our relationship with Krishna, because he is our source. We have all come from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, we have the right to go back to Krishna and go back to the spiritual world where Krishna exists, where there's no birth, old age, disease, and death. So that should be our real aim in life, is to go back from where we originally came from. But most people are being misled by false teachers. And the false teachers think that at one point, you can find eternal life in the material world. And so they come up with all kinds of strategies to increase the lifespan of human beings, like Elon Musk and others, and eventually promise that eventually everyone will be immortal. That's complete nonsense. There's no way that can happen. And the other thing is, they want to go to other planets. That's another thing that will never happen. They've been trying for 50 years to go to the moon or Mars or whatever. They claim that they went to the moon, but it's a hoax. They never really went, and they're never going to. So we should not waste our time, and we should not waste our money in trying to attain things that are impossible. But we should do what is possible. If a person understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and simply by worshiping Krishna, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, eating Krishna Prasadam. And we serve here Krishna Prasadam every day. You can also make Krishna Prasadam in your house. You cook only vegetarian food with no garlic and onion. And you have a little picture of Krishna, and you make an offering to Krishna. We have a little book that you can get right now. It's only $1. It teaches you how to offer the food to Krishna and have a Krishna conscious family life. So by that simple act of offering food to Krishna every day, because everybody has to eat, and it should be vegetarian food with no garlic and onion, you can become spiritually elevated, spiritually purified. You can purify your body and ultimately your mind just by eating Krishna Prasadam on a daily basis. And then, if you want to go further, you come to the temple and hear lectures by genuine devotees. And if you want to go further, then you say, please, I want to do some seva in the temple. I want to offer Krishna. I want to bow down to the Lord, and I want to offer my services to Krishna. Now you will make tremendous spiritual advancement. Eventually, you might also want to be initiated as a bona fide devotee of Krishna. Even if you're not initiated, you can still engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Those persons who desire to be initiated, that means that they're going to be following all the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness. And if you follow all the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, very quickly you make tremendous spiritual progress, and you are able to connect to Krishna. That's the real purpose of yoga. Yoga, actually, the actual definition of yoga is to connect to God. And the best way to do that is by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and engaging in the devotional service of the Lord. So there's many ways in this temple how you can be engaged in services to please Radha and Krishna. So we have a kitchen, we need help in the kitchen. We have food truck, we need help in the food truck. We have Harinam Sankirtan, going out and chanting in the streets and distributing free food. Also, we have our classes for children and our classes for adults. So it's very good for the family that prays together, stays together. So if you come as a family and sit together and learn in the different classes we have, learn all the principles of Krishna consciousness by reading verse by verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the oldest book in the history of the world. It was first spoken many millions and millions of years ago by Krishna to Surya. And the last time it was spoken was 5,000 years ago by Krishna to Arjuna. So there's no book that compares to Bhagavad Gita. The Quran doesn't come close. This Bible doesn't come close. The Buddhist books don't even come close because Quran is about 1,500 years old. The Bible is 2,000 years old. The Buddhist Shastras are about 2,500 years old, but the Bhagavad Gita is millions of years old. And it has no mistakes in it. It actually leads you to pure devotion and love for God, which is the real goal of life. Any other goal will not bring you back to the spiritual world. But if you develop genuine love and devotion for God or Krishna, at the moment of death, you remember the Lord and you'll go back to the spiritual world where we all came from. We were all with Krishna originally, but we can't remember it. Just like if I ask you, let me ask this gentleman here, do you remember being with your mother when you were born? Do you remember being with your mother when you were born? You do? Yeah, the day you were born. Do you remember that? Huh? No, you see? In the same way, none of us remember being with Krishna. We've forgotten it. Just the same way that you were with your mother when you were born, but you've forgotten it. By chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and following the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, and there's 4 things you should not do and 4 things you should do. The 4 things you should not do is eat meat, fish, eggs, etc., no flesh, right? Meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. You give up those 4 sinful activities, and you take up chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the names of Krishna, this is not a mundane, let's say, vibration. When you chant the name of Krishna, you're actually with Krishna, and Krishna is actually with you. So taking up this chanting of Hare Krishna is very important. Why? Because it's preparing you for the most important moment of your life. What is the most important moment of your life? It's the moment of death. Because whatever your consciousness is at the moment of death will determine what happens to you after you die. Either you get another material body and stay trapped in the material world of birth and death, or you can be liberated and go back to the spiritual world. How can you be liberated and go back to the spiritual world? It's by remembering Krishna at the moment of death. And you cannot do it unless you're practiced to remember Krishna. So practice makes perfect. Therefore, we ask everyone, please chant Hare Krishna. Therefore, we have our beads. You can get them if you don't have them now. Yeah, okay. If you don't have them, you can get them now in our little shop here. This is your ticket back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. So we're having Arti right now. We'll chant for Arti and dance. You can stand up, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna